All right, well, we want to know who you are, so on three, say your name. 1, 2, 3.
Christina!
Nice to meet you. Very cool. I'm one of the actors. I'm Matt. I play a dwarf in Evermore. I've got a large nose, and we play music. It's so fun. And this is my friend Lee.
Hi, my name's Lee Liston. I'm an actual dwarf with dwarfism, but you know.
I'm a dwarf with giantism.
So it's kind of backwards. But we figured out the dynamic, and I'm not hurt anymore, so we're good.
Too.
But anyway, my name is Lee Liston. I am an actor as well at Evermore Park. I play a character named Suds McBride, the bartender. It's a lot of fun. And I think, Josh, are you asking for what I think?
I am asking.
Okay, I think I know what he's asking. So, what he's wanting me to do is, when I play my character, Suds McBride, the whole premise of the story is there's this darkness that's come through, and there's so much anguish in the town, and Suds is there, and he loves this town, and he wants to lead and raise the morale, so he teaches everybody this chant, and this chant is, hi, ho, hey, forevermore. And then, you know, he kind of rouses to get the hype going. So can you guys do that for me?
Yeah!
I said, can you do that for me?
Yeah!
On three then. 1, 2, 3. Hi, ho, hey, forevermore! Thank you.
Yay. Do we have time for a song?
We do. We still have
You guys want to make a
3
song
minutes.
together?
Yeah!
All right, who could give us a 3-word song title that would encapsulate your experience at Comic-Con? What is it? My feet hurt. We're going to use that one. We're going to use my feet hurt. What was the honorable mention over here? Something about sunburn?
Sunburn and sore.
Sunburn. We'll have that lyric in there somewhere. All right, let's start with like a beat. Can we have you guys snap? That's kind of fast. So there we go. Then okay, here we go. So it's called My Feet Hurt. I'm gonna have some people, whoever wants to go do 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 do. You can do harmony if you want.
Yeah, I'm so sore, like I'm looking at my feet, like I'm walking through Comic-Con. Is my life complete? Yeah, I'm a celebrity, maybe 1 or 2, and they're walking through and they go, who are even you? So I walk up and I got my feet signs, sunburned and sore, I think I'm gonna cry. Stop it to the beat in the Evermore song, let me tell you what, and we'll sing a rap along.
My feet hurt, my feet hurt. Some of you, my feet, some do the thing. Hurt, my feet hurt. Yo, I got my Spider-Man shirt. I'm gonna flirt with the cosplay skirt. But my feet hurt. I gotta find a place to plug my phone in. They got a foam nose and it's really cool because she's got wings and he's got an axe. And I sing, my feet hurt, my feet hurt, my feet. Dr. Scholl's hurt, hurt. Nicely done. We did it. That is available on iTunes now.
I kind of made the mistake because like we finished and you guys were clapping and I started clapping and I was like, wait, I think I'm clapping for myself.
Give it up for Lee, ladies and gentlemen. Whose feet hurt though? That's right. You don't notice how much you're putting in, but it adds up.
All right, we can go ahead and start the conversation. I like that we've got a little mood lighting going on.
Wait, I want to introduce. You need an introduction.
Well, no, we'll get there. We'll go down the line.
But you, yeah, that's Josh.
And everybody in between. Oh, no, it's not like that. I'm actually just throwing some slides together because much like, you're gonna learn a little bit about Evermore, much like how the park operates, and some of you don't even know what it is, we do things pretty organically on the fly, and so I'm throwing in a bunch of slides right now that might match up with some things we'll talk about. So I'm gonna be plugging in and unplugging the whole time to like try and find a video to show what you guys are talking about. But with that, let's start with a little video. Show you guys what a tiny bit of Evermore is like. This is just a video I shot a week ago, walking around the park, just to kind of give you an idea of what it looks like and some of the things that are there. And then we'll do some introductions.
Her character's name is Piper.
That's pretty original,
not
right? All right, so we'll just do quick introductions. I'll start. I'm going to be your moderator. I'm Josh Shipley. I'm the Chief Creative Officer of Evermore. I was with Disney for 25 years. 21 of those years was with Walt Disney Imagineering, doing theme park development, story development. A lot of work with Marvel. Has some publications with the Disney Kingdoms comics, if you're aware of those. They don't exist anymore because I'm not there. Well, there are others there, but you know. That's my role for Evermore is a lot of story development and kind of guiding the theme park experience and having a little bit of background and that kind of stuff from an ops side. My original job with the Walt Disney Company was I was a tour guide and a gangster on the Great Movie Ride, so I've got the ops side of me. Beyond that, I'm a theater guy, so it's all about the story development and character creation. That's my job. I'll help guide things through, and I'm passing it down the line.
Hi everybody, I'm Logan Long. Yeah, how about that for Josh? Somebody help me. Okay. Hi everybody, I'm Logan Long. I am the creative studio director for the characters of the park, and that's split amongst my peers here. Dave Powell here is I'll let you introduce yourself, I guess, but anyway, we have a small team, a very talented crew. My background, actually, this is a second career path for me. I was chasing a military pilot slot for the majority of my 20s and took a 180 turn in my life to pursue art and pretty quickly came up to the position that I'm in now.
That's the storyline of Top Gun Maverick.
Yep. I hope so. I hope Tom Cruise goes on Face Off. So that was actually what helped me cut my teeth in special effects. Yeah, so anybody watch Face Off?
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, I was on 2 seasons of that show. Started working abroad. I was working in China actually at the time when I got the phone call to come help build the studio at Evermore, and had the privilege of hiring some cool talent. And that's pretty much it for me. We make the characters for the park.
I'm Dave Powell. I'm the head of the Armor and Weapons Department, which is the coolest job title I've ever had in my entire life. Now, it's basically specialty costume stuff, so anything that's in between wardrobe and special effects is kind of where I fit that little niche. I get to work with my brother every day, which is freaking awesome.
It's awesome for us too. You should hear them sing.
Or just make funny
They can.
sounds.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful.
Funny, accents and stuff. It's pretty great. A lot of barge cement and glue fumes, so yeah, we have a lot of. I met Logan on the set of a movie that I was working on doing armor. He was doing a zombie makeup for a fantasy film. So I don't think he was called a zombie, he was called a plagueling. And he told me, we got to know each other there, and then on another film I saw him again, and he said, hey, I'm working on this cool thing called Evermore Park, and maybe if you want to come down and see the studio, you might be interested. And I walked into the studio, and it was every dream I'd ever have come true, so I begged and pleaded to get a job, and luckily they hired me, and I get to make armor and weapons for fun, weird characters in the park that you get to interact with.
He didn't have to beg.
Kinda, a little. It's the coolest job ever. I really hope it lasts, and I hope we get to do this forever. So come see the park. It's a lot of fun.
I'm Brooke Wilkins. I'm the costumer, which means I make the clothes for the imaginary people that populate Evermore. And I've been doing theatrical costuming for 20 years, ever since I was a kid. And just 11-year-old me is so thrilled that I get to go to work and make clothes for elves and fairies and bagpipers, apparently. So, that's me.
Hi, my name is Lee Liston. You already know that, but I want to kind of introduce myself. So I'm an actor. You know, I've been pursuing this for a while and doing different things. And one of the things that changed with Evermore, because you can imagine as a little person that you see a lot of caricatures, you know, dwarves, goblins, you know, different creatures and things like that, especially in fantasy. And when our friend Christian called, he called me and he said, "Hey, I want you to audition for this part. I want you to be the part of the bartender." And I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know what Evermore was or anything about it really, but I was like, cool, like I'm so excited. And I went and, you know, I went and auditioned for it, and I got to play the part of Suds McBride. And over time, it's just become such a part of me in such a real way, where I am getting every day to not only act, because it's one thing to act and go, hey, that was a great performance, I enjoyed seeing you perform, but it's another thing altogether when you have an interaction where it really changes and affects someone's lives. And that is what the beauty of everyone, the beauty of me getting to be there. So yeah, I don't want to get too into that, but before we get going to that, we just come on. But yes, I am an actor at Evermore Park, and I love it so much.
Woo!
Hi everyone, we've met. I'm Matt. Everyone say hi, Matt.
Hi, Matt.
Hi. I sound like I said Christopher. Is there a Christopher out here? Oh, is that you, dude? Christopher, front row. So I come from a background of improv. I've done a lot of improv over the years. I got to perform with some of my heroes like Wayne Brady and things like that. And then when the CEO of Evermore, he put up the Matt signal and said, "Move from LA," and I said, "Will I get to work with Josh Shipley and the team?" And he said yes, and so I said, "I'm in." But the truth is, like, it's perfect. I'm from Utah, and I have a 3-year-old son. Shout out, hi Theo, and hi Megan, I miss you. But now I get to be an actor in the park, as well as create and design things. Like I illustrate characters for when we have these trolls in the park, and they have troll values like respect, loyalty, you know, silly things like that.
Stupid silly thing,
you know. But the point is, I get to be a part of this, and I get to use my improv to make people's lives better, hopefully. And we sing, and we're in this place called the Burrows, which is it's burrowed out of a hill. Much like Hobbiton, but not so much like it. But it's an homage, and we've gotten the stamp of approval from Weta, we should say. But we get to sing and dance. So if you're in Utah, or if you're not, go there and visit us. It's in Pleasant Grove. Make the trip. Our fall shows start. I'm spoiling stuff. I know. Sorry. It's forthcoming. We have the date announced, right?
Yeah, we do.
September 6th is when our fall season, and that's a little more spooky, but you're gonna love it. That's it, you guys. I'm glad to be here, and I've been coming to Comic-Con for 12 years, so this is my first panel. So.
Woo!
I had a million thoughts with each one.
Sorry.
No, this is all good. And I went ahead and just put the map up on the screen. It's an older, full build out of the park with landscaping that takes years, but this kind of gives you an idea of Evermore. I mean, that is basically what the park is, just with not so cartoony. But so you can absorb that. Raise your hand, just so we can get an idea of our audience. Raise your hand if you know something, anything, even just a little thing about Evermore. Oh. Okay, that's actually pretty good for us, because, I mean, we're coming, yeah. Well, I mean, we have our media presence out there, and we've had a lot of guests since we opened last September, but it's nice for us to know how to gauge some of these remarks that we're going to make, and then just by another raise of hand, and don't be embarrassed, but how many of you don't even know what room you wandered into, and you're just really curious about what we're talking about? Okay,
I just needed a place to sit down.
To be honest, there's air conditioning, there's a water cooler, it's great. Okay, no, that's helpful for us though, because now we know how to address you guys. So that all of you know, Evermore is a living theatrical park. It's experiential. It's like jumping into a live video game. So those that are used to D&D campaigns, or just jumping onto, well, Logan and I will jump onto Red Dead Redemption, that kind of stuff. If you know the video game world and you're used to making decisions based on your own actions as the hero, Evermore is the living park for that kind of experience. So when you come into Evermore, I mean, I just showed you that was a brief clip of our entryway, and it was one of our wandering minstrels, and then Piper on the bagpipes, which, by the way, that's how she auditioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
How did I not know this?
well, but we didn't put it out there as like we're looking for a bagpiper. She just showed up and walked in with bagpipes, and that's always one of those situations where you go, it's going to be great or horrible. But she was like smiling and super excited, and we're like, okay, how's this going to go? And then she played Star Wars on the bagpipes, and I'm secretly going, yeah, you're hired. But you walk into Evermore, and it sometimes can take a couple of hours. I mean, we're open 4 to 5 hours in the evenings. It can take you a couple of hours to get up to speed and to figure out how to do this place, because you walk in and you're a little overwhelmed. There are creatures, there are all these fantasy characters. There are tons of people in costume who are not our actors because it's a really fun place to get dressed up, and it can be overwhelming. But as soon as you start to figure out that you can just like stop and say, hey, what, is there anything I can help you with? Or hey, what's going on with that mayor election I just heard about? As soon as you break out of that shell and you start to ask questions, then your night just keeps going and going and going and going, and before you know it, the bells are chiming and the night's over, and you're wondering how you didn't get to join the guilds, and you're wondering how to get back. And, I mean, that's a good thing for us, for people to want to come back, but there's this momentum that builds. So I know what I'm saying is confusing, because this kind of thing isn't out there right now. There are some experiential ad hocs in existing theme parks. Evermore is built for this exact purpose, from the moment you enter to when you exit. So it's kind of a new thing. I did hear a voice out here say Westworld. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but a little cleaner.
A little less murdery.
Yeah, less murdery. Yeah. Good. Well, I don't know. Sesame Pride murdered his best friend in part.
Hey, they just met me, and
Spoiler alert.
It's okay, he came back to life.
As an example, we got to take my family recently through Evermore as a guest, and we were walking along, and then we see this guy named Grimy the Goblin, and he's a little scary. You don't know whether to approach him or not, but then you kind of muster up your courage. And we went and we just kind of asked him, hey, we're looking for an adventure. And he's like, oh, an adventure? Oh, and he's got this great accent. And then he told us about a recent burglary that had happened, and then also something about an election, I think.
Yeah.
We were more focused on the burglary. So he's like, yeah, head up to the tavern and talk to so-and-so about the burglary. So then we went up to the tavern, and we could have looked for that person, but we ended up at the archery range shooting bows and arrows. So that's kind of, it's a lot of like, you can put into it and get out of it. And the more that you get into it, the more of an adventure you have. So it's a lot of, or you can just, get some food and shoot a bow and arrow and throw some axes. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, it really is a choose-your-own-adventure kind of night. I mean, when we opened in September, there was this, I mean, we hadn't done this before, right? We tried to script it loosely, and then quickly realized that wasn't exactly working, and started pulling the actors aside and saying, it's okay to stay within these guidelines. You have some float here, you can do that. And what we started to get in return was the world walkers, those who come through the gate. They were adding to the story with their own imagination, and instead of us shutting it down and saying, no, that's not what we wrote, we were gathering after closing and going, okay, so hold on, Suds now has a crush on the miller's daughter. Wait a minute. We didn't think about that because it wasn't important to a generalized experience, but then we decided to embrace it. It just kept growing that way, and now that is exactly how Evermore functions. We have a broad stroke of a story for Mythos, which is our summer season right now. We know some of the things that we started with. We know the characters that are there. We know where it needs to end up by the end to dovetail into Halloween for lore. But we also know that every single person coming in for an adventure has an idea of what they want to get out of this, and some of that we're way willing to embrace. So the story is organic every single night. It's kind of hard to track, but it's really fun to track too, because we will find out about little things like suds poisoning somebody and things like that, and you go, yeah, okay, we're gonna go with
I
that.
think I'm being thrown under the bus a little bit.
It's all
I mean, I can still stand when I'm under the bus, but still, you know.
It's a dark night of the soul, man.
No, stop. It's not.
But point is, it's like we didn't start the season thinking like we were gonna go somewhere that dark, and then things just kind of happen, and then we regather and go, that's cool, we're gonna do that too. The thing that we're here to talk about in the creation process, these three here in the middle tend to have a big headache because of those things. So all of a sudden we'll find out, like, hey, so is it possible to get another dragon or something? Okay, maybe not that extreme because that's really hard for us to do, but there are things that happen within the costuming and with armor and with makeup that are
Wasn't
pretty
it a
quick.
World Walker's idea to do the mayor election?
Lee, you could answer
Was
that.
that?
So one of the other characters, Giordani, that's played by Bobby Cody, one of my best friends, he was the one that pitched it, and because, you know, with Evermore being, you know, a construct, almost like being blown, you know, into existence, Bobby was like, hey, why doesn't Suds run for mayor? You know, and we started this whole mayor campaign, and that's what built the
Yeah,
momentum.
because then I hear about that after the fact, and I'm like, well, then we need a chain of office, you know. So it's like I have to find a way to make a chain of office, which I was not planning on.
Is that the
But
sound?
we've got
And
one
can
now.
it be an ogre? That's what I started thinking.
No, it's true. Well, and you may have seen in the video, I mean, we have an automaton named Tip Top, and all of a sudden the World Walkers are nominating him for mayor. So we're like, okay, anybody in Evermore could potentially be the mayor. So,
That is the beautiful part about Evermore, is we can all throw in an idea, and sometimes it just becomes a staple of the park.
Yeah.
yeah,
A lot
and
of artistic freedom.
And because we are a small team at the core level, where we all work in the same location, our creative studio is a 5-minute drive from the park itself. We can brainstorm things, and as long as, you know, it doesn't cause somebody to punch somebody, because that's impossible, we really can activate and say, that's cool, let's figure that out, let's see how we can do it. Within you know, reason. I mean, really, when I say, could we have another dragon, that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we would love to have, we have a puppeteer dragons in the park. It's like, we would love to have more and more and more of that kind of stuff, but we also know that's not within reason, that takes time. There's a whole, you know, production process involved. But if there is something that could influence story, like the mayoral, you know, storyline, or our big baddie, the Fae King that was part of last lore season, we can be reactionary based on the creativity of all of us gathering together, and you know, if we all agree, if we all give the buy off with one another, we'll pursue it. So
We may, yeah, it may be slightly uncomfortable. We may whine a little bit about it, but secretly we really love those kinds
Dave
of
never whines, just so you know. This is really nice guy.
I just don't do it around you. I think.
Okay, so the photo's up on screen right now. Let's see, I believe I took all three of those just barely over a week ago. So that's the backdrop for how Evermore exists. It is really beautiful during dusk, and then it comes to life with the evening lighting and all of that fun stuff. Those mountains are like just stunning. Actually, that amount of snow, maybe that was, no, that actually was, yeah, that was recent.
Got a really late spring.
Yeah. Yeah. But really beautiful. And then while we were building the park, a couple of structures went up just outside our berm. One is an office building with prefab walls, went up in less than a week. And another is a hotel, which we appreciate having accommodations so close to the park. But for us, it was like,
Now, how do we mask that off?
I know, it's like that. We're trying to make people believe they're in this fantasy world, and there's the highest, you know.
We tried to get the planes to go around, but they were not cooperating.
No, but what's fun about that, because it's the fantasy part, is now, you know, you get the helicopters and the planes go around, and the characters can play off that, you know.
Yeah.
Start yelling at the creatures in the sky. So,
Big metal dragons.
Yeah.
Question?
yeah, we'll open up for Q&A later, but you have a question now, and I don't want you to lose it.
I know, okay. How do you differ from going to a Renaissance fair or the Highland Games?
Great question.
So
I'm talking a lot.
a big part of it is they went to Europe and they bought a lot of architectural detail, not just details, but huge pieces of architecture and old gravestones as well, and brought them over and then augmented them and built out this permanent structure. So it's a permanent village, like an old world village, that will continue to get better and grow. But and then they've really blended well the real old world objects with special effects, building and faux finishes and everything. So the fact that it's open all year round is one part of it. Also, when you go to a Ren fair, everybody that's there is either an attendee or selling something, whereas when you come to Evermore, there are actual characters that you interact with that are there as permanent live-in villagers, and you can talk to them, and as the conversation goes on, they'll pick up on a hint or you'll pick up on a hint, and that'll send you on a quest. So you actually become maybe the hero of Evermore, or you instigate something so it's more storytelling in combination with Ren Fair type activities, but it does feel like a very high budget Ren Fair.
We've also explored the idea of actually hosting a Ren Fair there, and it would be a great setting for it. So.
If I can add in, I think one of the main differences too is when you come into Evermore, if you go into any town, you know, something is going on, something is happening. It's not, oh, we're aware that we're in costume, because to all the characters, we are just like, what's that thing you're pointing at me? You know, I mean, like your phone, or if you're taking a
The
picture.
characters don't know what these things are.
They call them human boxes.
Yeah, we call them like Fey boxes. Like it's a long story, but like regardless, though, what separates it is creating these like interactive experiences of almost being brought back in time and interacting with these people that aren't aware of that, while also having their own unique experience and story, you know, through storytelling. But
Could I sing a dwarf funeral song?
Oh, that's perfect.
Is that okay? Sorry to bring it down, but
Yeah.
just so you know, all the dwarven women have illustrious beards, so get on it, ladies. So here we go. This one, can you help me with this one? This is a dwarf funeral song, so if you go do, 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 do. Remember we sing this at dwarf funerals. I should introduce myself. My name's Lanny the Dwarf. Fun fact, dwarves are hatched. Where I'm from, called Mythos, we're hatched. So we're grown to full size and then we hatch. This is a song for our fallen dwarven brothers before we kick them off the hill for the final time. It's out of casket and it's hilarious. You ready? So we wrote this. It goes way back. Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest trophy through the shed. She was looking kinda dumb with her finger and her thumb in the shape of an L on her forehead. Everyone! Well, the years stop coming and they don't stop coming. Straight to the roads and they hit the ground running. Didn't make sense not to live for fun. Your head gets smart but your brain gets dumb. So much to do, so much to see. So what's wrong with taking the back street? You never smile if you don't go. You never shine if you don't glow. Everyone, hey now, you're a rock star. Get your game on, go. Make history. Hey now, you're a rock star.
Get the show on, get paid. All that glitters is gold.
Make it big.
Only shooting stars break the mold.
Give a big hand to yourself. Very nice.
Isn't Matt a treat? Like, he's just, one thing I love about Matt is he just knows how to make the moment special. and he's just a master of comedy where I'm just like, you know, all the time. And just, I love this guy. Just, let's hear it for Matt.
Woo!
We're stuck in the shop, in the studio, all day, and have no idea what you guys are doing. First time I've heard that.
Well, first time I've met him. Hi. Hey, nice to meet you. Big fan.
But that's a great point. Is they're over in the shop. They're sculpting, they're painting, they're building, they're stitching, all these things, and then we go and we turn the lights on and the show goes up. And sometimes that's not exactly what you guys had envisioned, or all the times maybe. All the times it's not what you had envisioned. I don't have it on here, but a good example of we wanted to add an ogre character. So Logan, I think the day we brought it up, he started sculpting this ogre, and classic, looks like
mean looking,
so teeth, all that kind of stuff.
We applied the makeup, and I'm driving him to the site, to the park.
We had a special event party, and we were going to premiere him there.
Yeah, he's silent the whole ride. And I'm like, what are you thinking? What are you going to be? Do you have any idea who you're going to be? And he's like, I got it. And he killed it, but I'm going to let you finish. But to me, I wasn't sure he even had an idea.
No, because think about it. I mean, you're thinking like he's an ogre. He looks like an orc from Warcraft type of thing.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go broody ogre style, but he went. Do you have a video?
I unfortunately I don't. You had the best video.
Oh my God! So I asked, "What's your name?" And he said, "Giggles." So he's the goofy dork. Ogre. Oh, yeah.
And he carries an umbrella because we're outside in 100-degree heat, and he's got special effect makeup. But because he's a silly character, I got him a parasol that he could carry, which visually doesn't look like it goes until you talk to him.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
It's like his favorite thing.
He thinks the fairy, the world walkers tell him that he stole his parasol from the fairies, but he didn't. It's his parasol.
But that's like the juxtaposition of how Evermore exists, because you would look at him from afar and you go, wow, that's a scary character. And then you talk to him and all he wants to do is collect jokes from you and just, anything's funny? Well, not anything. I actually did hear him tell somebody one time that wasn't funny. I think it was a dad joke. He's like, that's so funny. But I mean, thinking of the creation process, and so often, in how strict and serious it is. I mean, Logan is out there sculpting this thing to be this monster, this beast, and then he's like, take it away. Yeah. So we have a lot of that happening, and in this situation it works because Giggles is funny, and fortunately that night, Logan's walking around the park giggling as well. Which is a good stamp of approval in this situation, but it's not necessarily always like that. Sometimes it's like, what did you do to my character, to my goblin?
It's good to have that freedom though, because then we do get those really serendipitous moments like that where, sometimes it strikes gold.
Yeah.
You get really lucky. But we should show more. Okay.
Well, I queued up another video based on the fact that Matt down there was singing a song. And again, this was just walking through their Burroughs home just barely over a week ago. And just seriously, just trying to capture anything that I can to bring here and just show like, hey, this is what it's like. So this is just a moment that I walked in on, which made me laugh. I have no idea how well this is going to come across, but we'll go ahead and... That's Greasy the Goblin on harmonica.
Something like that. And it's in from me. And it's goblin, lady, something. We have no idea how to go. But it's sad and it's stinky and my feet.
Play the harmonica.
No, I didn't know until this moment. the other dwarf over there is that's Turno, Lanny's brother.
That's my brother. We're twins. We were hatched only 46 years apart.
And I mean, walking in on that, there's no story purpose to that whatsoever. I had no idea that Greasy Goblin's going to be in there playing harmonica and doing his own version of Piano Man. It's just fun, and you discover these things all over the park where you go, I don't know if this is important or not. I hope that's not ever deemed as important, because that's just entertainment. But you discover these things all over. Even myself, who feels like I have like some knowledge of what's happening, I can walk into the burrows and make it, little discoveries like that and just be fully entertained. So it speaks a lot to, the performers and the ability to improv on the fly like that. So.
Thank you. And the fact is, they've created such a beautiful. It makes it so easy, right? Where all the work has already been done. It's already been sold visually with the costuming and with the all the amazing work that they put in to create this visual thing. This part is easy, what we do. That's the fun part. That's easy. We get to play pretend and unlock that child within all of us. I feel in a weird way, and it's going to get really deep here really quick, but I feel in a strange way, we use imagination to heal our collective and individual traumas. It's kind of a way to use imagination to turn lead into gold, so to speak, within ourselves. It's kind of cool, and that's what I see. It's a transformative thing where you kind of are able to heal a little bit and have fun and play again, which we all kind of want to do, but we lose that because we got to live life and we got to get things done. But
there's even to the point where it takes like a little adjustment period from the time you walk in the gate till about halfway through, and you start to feel really like, oh no, I'm safe here. I can actually I don't have to be as shy as I normally am.
Yes.
I can walk up and talk to a character, and they're not going to make fun of my accent or my inability to say it the right way. We just play. We have a good time, and that's really special once that kicks in, and you realize, and then you want to come back because now you're like, oh, now I know. Now I'm comfortable here. I want to come back and.
One of the things that we do talk about, and it's to a crowd like this, it's to college classes, it's to one-on-one with friends and family, is we've been lost in a digital world. I mean, we all rely on devices even to get us around and socialize, and we tend to not make a lot of eye contact with each other anymore. I mean, not as much as I guess you would if you didn't have this anymore, but we tend to be very focused in on a little device. And I think what's happening is the human animal really desires interaction. We still want to see each other and talk to each other, but we're forgetting how. And so, in a way, with an Evermore type of experience, what we're saying is, you can come in and take photos and all that kind of thing, but it is about interaction. It is about actually being able to talk to people, and we are getting those experiences with parents that have now said, my kid normally doesn't talk to anybody, but they spent a full hour with your goblin, that kind of stuff. So we love the idea that there's an excuse behind this fantasy curtain to get rid of those inhibitions and just talk to and connect with people once again. I also think it's one of the reasons why we have a lot of people that come in costume. Now, we always wanted that. We just didn't know how much it was going to happen. I mean, we don't put restrictions on it, other than weaponry and certain type of masks, but we weren't sure if it would be embraced or not. And we opened last year with that Halloween season, and a lot of people showing up in their costumes. We're like, okay, we expected that, but we didn't know what was going to happen going into Christmas or into summer. And at least half of our guests on any given night are in some level of costume, and some of them are really, really
keep me
good.
on my toes. I
They
feel like I
really
have
do.
to
There's a
do
lot of
better than the
competition.
guests, and good stuff, guys.
We had to make special necklaces so that you could tell who's a character and who's not.
Yeah, because these costumes are beautiful and they're wonderful, and we have people that are coming. Some will come once a week, but we have some that are there every single night, and they've started to establish their characters, and our characters are finding out how to interact with them, and it's just this beautiful thing that's happening in terms of how people, interact and talk with one another, and and break out of that shell.
There are ciphers in the park that you can translate if you're up for that. And yeah, that group that comes all the time, they call themselves the Syndicate. If that's not.
You should give them a shout out.
Yeah. And it's at first, when it first started happening, we were very nervous. We didn't know how that was going to change things, but we've opened a dialogue with them. You have, and it's been a really great thing to actually have them there, either helping guests or just kind of bumping into, or you just see these really well costumed people, you know, sitting translating all of these. You know, they've got their notebooks out, they've got everything figured out before. A lot of times before we
attend that stuff to get out. Yeah, no, we do have secret cipher messages and things like that go out in story, and it's roughly every week, not always consistently every week, but you know, coming up with things now, knowing that they're going to chase after this stuff, and they're really going to spend a lot of time decoding and figuring out what we're saying. Is like, okay, what words can we put in there that's going to make them freak out when they finally, you know, figured out. It's fun to do that. I will say, at the end of Aurora, our Christmas season, we knew that, okay, we were going to be closed for a while because of all winter and beginning of spring. So we're like, how do we put in a message that's going to be really hard? Like, how do we drive this along and continue the fun for those hardcore, you know, people, fans out there? And fortunately, our couple of our characters, one of them is our executioner in the park, is really good with that kind of stuff. And so he put together this multi-tiered, real deep message that had to be decoded. And it eventually led to a phone number which had a secret message on the phone line. It took 2 or 3 weeks for him to decode that one. But what was great was my wife and I were out at dinner, and I actually know when those calls would start coming in, and my phone pings with a voicemail, and the excitement was like, they solved it. And then the messages started flowing in, and everybody's trying to talk to this character and things like that. But I mean, there is story purpose behind that, but it's not like, we didn't plan that out a year ago. It was, hey, wouldn't it be fun? Like, because we know we're going to close, so wouldn't it be fun if we can continue this for a few more weeks somehow? And then we just did it, and it was cool. It was awesome. So the slide up there is a good placeholder on costumes and characters, but this is to pull back into the creative studio realm and give an idea of some of the things that are in there. I'll let you guys pull that apart.
As you can imagine, you can see how fluid the park is in every way, right? It requires malleability on all of our parts, but what's really neat is when we get to collaborate on one character entirely. It happens periodically. Sometimes it's just costume entirely, sometimes it's just effects entirely, and everywhere in between. So you see our dragon trainer there. That involved the Creative Studios puppetry department, costuming. Dave did the leather work on that. Moving over, you see, it's the same across the board. Anytime you see rubber, that's my side. Anytime you see leather, that's probably Dave. The fabric's probably Brooke. But collaborating like that on the fly is really fun. Creative process-wise, it would be much nicer if we could, and we're working on this, we're honing in how to start from the sketch and go through our process. It's a timing thing. But we had the opportunity recently for Comic-Con to do that, and that's thanks to Dave. I'll let you talk about Cleopsis.
Right. Oh, awesome, cool. Yeah. So V. Neal sent out an application basically to help on a cool character for Comic-Con, and I applied and got in with my portfolio, and then found out afterwards that it was a Court of the Dead character with Sideshow Collectibles. So we've been collaborating with the Cinema Makeup Effects School and Sideshow to build Cleopsis, Eater of the Dead. It's really great. I think there was upwards of 30 people over the last few months working on this thing, and we barely got it on her for the Sideshow party the other night. So it was a lot of fun. She's a really involved character.
I loaded up the video. I have not seen this.
Yeah, it's
Do I need to mute it?
It's clean. So yeah.
Wanna watch it again? Yeah.
So Cinema Makeup Effects School handled the face and the headdress and some of the other pieces, and then all the skin, and then we were entrusted with the task of doing a lot of her armor and the props. So Logan sculpted the scythe prop. Back at the shop, our main puppet maker, Troy, did the snake puppet that you see. Alex did the LED lights for it. Our good friend and collaborator Ansley did the props on the hips, and then we had a big team of like mold makers, and it was a huge, very involved costume. But yeah, she may make it on the floor today at Sideshow. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not, but.
And that actually gave us a good excuse to say, hey, let's go do this panel at Comic-Con this year, because once Dave was awarded that part of the contract, we're like, well, that's cool. I mean, if you're going to be there and you're one of our artists and you represent part of the creative process, let's go down there and support Dave. And so that's why we're even here on the panel, is because of Dave's efforts in doing this. He did mention you mentioned Ansley.
Yes.
Ansley, are you in the room? Did you make it? Are you? Okay. Well, one of the artists in the studio was part of the Masquerade Ball last night, and they took 3 awards.
She won Comic-Con.
I mean, it's like, that's cool. I mean, we didn't even know. We were sitting in there just for fun, and all of a sudden we're like, what?
We're incredibly lucky
That's
to
our
have
person.
a lot of really hardworking and talented people in the shop, and they're great to work with.
Yeah.
That's the best part of the job, really.
Yeah. That's just it. I know we're not going to have tons of time, but we do want to open up for Q&A. I've got other stuff to show, but it's more fun to actually talk to people. So if you'll line up at the microphone so we can hear you, and we'll be observant of the time.
Okay. I'm so impressed with everything you've done, but can you talk about, I feel like a lot of immersive theater is reliant on an intimate experience with small groups. Can you talk about the challenges of doing that on a much larger scale with the amount of guests that you have coming through the park? How do you make each guest feel special?
That's a really good.
Yeah, Matt, you.
Yeah, there's an interesting sort of rhythm to the whole thing when groups come through. Sometimes it's just a family with a stroller, and you talk to the kids. What makes it feel unique is, I personally try to connect with everyone who comes through. If it's the very least, you see some people who are just want to observe. You have different levels, or some people are introverted and they just like, I just want to go see it and I don't want to be bothered. But I give them a simple acknowledgement. Oh, welcome to my home. Oh, great to see you. Be sure to check my side of the house. It's a little cleaner than my brother's side. Like he collects nests for some reason. Things like that. And so I feel like it's just about connecting. I'll tell of an experience. There was this mother who came through with her son, and her son was he was autistic, and he was touching everything, and she kept pulling him back, and she kept saying, just kept wrangling him in, and we have a piano in the Burrows, and he was touching the piano. So what happened? She just went about her way, and then when he came back, he was touching the piano again, and his name was Sam, I'll say. But we're like, oh, Sam, all right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Sam on the piano. And he would go and just hit it, and would do it with him, and like, oh, Sam, all right, oh, there it is. All right, it's big. And everyone was just celebrating Sam, and his mother was just like nearly in tears, and his father was even closer to tears, and he just came up and he said, thank you so much. You have no idea how much this means, because they're used to reining Sam in, because Sam can't, you function like right in a normal world. It's you as a parent, you want to protect them from everything. And so Sam was safe to just be Sam, and we celebrated, and we said, you're part of our band, is that all right? You're part of our band, Sam. And we were celebrating, and everyone was celebrating, and Sam was loving it. He went over on my brother Turno's drums and was playing the drums, and we're like, that's great rhythm there, And Sam, we had that connection, and you could tell that he's like, this is fun. I finally get to celebrate and just play without restriction. And so it's those moments that are shared often, right? So sometimes the night it's just packed, and we're like, if you want to get a selfie with the dwarfs, come get a picture. But sometimes they just flush through. But there's these moments that are shared, these experiences, and they can be personal, but you can be moved by observing things, like when the fairies are teaching someone how to to dance or dream or whatever they do. Or throwing, I don't know.
Matt, I will say too, like when I brought my family through, my stepson is super, super shy, and you got him out of his shell, which I didn't think was going to happen at all. You got him to say a band, which he's very nervous about even saying that. He said 21 Pilots, and he's like, oh, 21 Pirates. Yes, I know, Bluebeard, Blackbeard, and just got him laughing and laughing. Yeah, it's a great experience.
The key is our actors. They're our ride.
Yeah.
We're a theme park, and our ride is the actors. And so I think the key is getting amazing, wonderful, kind actors that are really good at what they do, which is very unique, and they really are amazing.
Next question.
This is pretty simple. Just curious what your hours are, because it's obviously not an all day from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m.
All right, hold on really quick. So we just got the notice that we have one more question, but that's a really quick answer. So I'm going to take one more right after that. I love it. So right now we are Monday, Friday, Saturday. Monday's pretty busy actually. It's family night up in Utah, 6 to 10. And then Fridays and Saturdays we are 6 to 11. And launching into the Halloween season, we will at least maintain that, but we also know with Halloween that there's an increase, so we're willing to add dates as well as extend the hours into the evenings if we have to. Okay, last question.
Hi. I'm wondering how many total cast members you have as part of it, and then also how many people were recruited locally from Utah and how many people came in from elsewhere.
I want to know how many actors we're going to have for Lord, because I got to get their costumes.
Well, how many costumes do you feel responsible for right now during Mythos?
Around 50? We've got about, what, 50 actors?
Yeah. So right now for Mythos, we have the ability, I think, to go to 54 or 55 if the attendance in the park supports that.
Then we
and
have
we're not double cast.
duplicates for some of them for laundering purposes. We don't want things to get too ripe. And
Yeah, you don't want to actually smell a dwarf in real life.
the level of authenticity.
So I wash their clothes for them.
Yeah, it's sort of like Comic-Con. But that's a good, healthy number for us, is around the just over 50. Halloween will be a little bit different because there's a haunt experience in there, so there will be more of a jump scare vibe that's happening. Those are still, I mean, costume characters that the team has to be responsible for, but that just balances our park a little bit differently, and so those that we have within Story and Quest will be balanced in a different way, and that's just special because of Halloween. But it feels, I mean, the park's around 11 acres, and when we have a full, let's say 55 characters in park, it still feels empty. Like if we could, we would double that number just for the sake of being able to have the place come to life even more. And that's one of the things we've had to coach the actors on, even in the rehearsal process, is be sure to play the crowd. I mean, back to the question that was asked about, experiential things and being more intimate. It's learning to play to the crowd and not always take those single moments, because you are one actor and you might need to be absorbing the time of 10, 15, 20 people just for the sake of delivering a good experience. So it's kind of a tricky balance.
It's a bit of involving them and recruiting them as entertainment.
Yeah.
Most all of them were local to Utah.
Yes.
That is true. Yeah, we did have a person that came from
Michigan?
Michigan, yeah, an audition, which they gave a fantastic audition. We just going back and forth. That was a hard decision to make. You're like, wait, you're not here. We would love to have your talent. Just trying to figure out how that would work when everybody who really is working there is able to just drive and be there, and we weren't sure how to balance out that kind of situation. But we haven't had to send our casting calls out beyond the area. The arts are really, really, really strong.
The theater community in Utah is amazing.
Yeah. That's just a group photo for the party night. Yeah, too late. There's Logan at the front saying, "Look at me." That was the night that Giggles made his premiere. But I mean, I'm glad we talked about the numbers, because this was literally, this was just a teeny tiny, sliver of cast that night, and normally it's a ton of people. So I think that's it.
Wait, can I go to your Instagram, follow Evermore Park, please? And on Facebook, follow Evermore Park so you can be reminded who wants to go to Evermore Park now.
Please come. We have a lot of fun there.
Please come in costume.
Yeah, come in costume.
So yeah, it is seasonal, and the events are seasonal. So right now, Mythos runs through August 17th. Then we have to reset, and Lore opens on September 6th.
Mr. Shipley, may we have Mr. Okay, sweet.
Please lead.
Give it up for Suds McBride, the bartender. Get on your bar, good sir. This is Suds McBride. This is his tavern. You're all in his tavern now. Raise your glasses.
If I'm honest, I don't need the mic, I'm fine. If I'm honest with you, I thought this would go really badly and the table was going to fall and it was going to be really scary.
I got you, my friend.
But here we are. Now, as I told you earlier, the highway for Evermore. That is the chant that guides us. That when you enter Evermore, you enter a world walker and you leave an Evermorean. Now, what I need you to do is a hi, ho, hey for Evermore. Can you do that for me?
Yeah!
Come on now. Can you do that for me?
Yeah!
Here we are then. 1, 2, 3.
Hi, ho, hey, forevermore!
Well done, Suds. Well done, my friend.
Just I want to interject really quick because me and Suds are two distinct different people and I'm a little more reserved. But I just want to say thank you so much for coming to the panel. Thank you so much for participating in Evermore. I love this place so much and we love this place so much and I'm so grateful for this team and we're all such a family uniting in one thing. So I can't wait to see you at Evermore. Suds can't wait to see you. Lonnie can't wait to see you.
Get pictures with us, all right? Get pictures out there.
Yes.